Unitary language system. An important issue among the researchers is the argument whether there exists a unitary language system in the minds of the children, or do they operate from two different language systems? In other words, the question is that when a child actually uses a language, that is, a child that is being exposed to multiple languages, do they actually, does he understand the difference between the fact that he or she is using two different languages, or does he or she actually use that language that he is being exposed to without an understanding that these are two different languages? Now, the researchers that support unitary language system provide evidence that children who are early bilinguals do a lot of language mixing. That is, they resort to undifferentiated phonological sound system, lexical related to words, and syntactical related to grammar, language use, and they constantly mix all these items from one language to the other without showing a sense of difference that they are using two languages and not one. So, this is supported from the evidence that these researchers have collected by recording the conversation with very young bilinguals, and they feel and they sort of interpret it in the sense that when a child is using the language, he or she does not show any appreciation that two language systems are being used. However, because it is all about interpretation and how you understand the results, because mental processes are not that obvious, there are researchers who disagree from these findings. So Swain, 1977, has another model to present, and he argues that initially when a child is exposed to both languages, they actually store both languages in a common storage. So whether they are exposed to, for instance, English or Urdu or Punjabi, all these language or linguistic items are stored in the mind of the child in a common storage box in their brains. However, gradually as a child grows up, the child begins to tag these different items from different languages as different languages. And then he or she actually begins to use those languages as different languages. That means in the beginning, when they are exposed to a language, they do not understand that these are different languages, and they see it as one common repertoire of the linguistic items they have. And gradually with time, as they grow up, they come to understand that this is not one language, but these are different languages, and they are then somehow involved in this gradual process of language differentiation. Now, even when we say that initially the child is storing all the linguistic items in a single storage box, then we are still agreeing with the researchers that initially the bilingual child has a unitary language system in the mind, and it is only with growing up, with the developmental factors at work that the child is able to differentiate that these are not one languages but the two languages. So even Swain's explanation of this common storage, which then moves on to store different languages differently, somehow supports the unitary language system.